When the whole world was in the race of electric vehicles, and every company was talking about EV, battery, range, and charging infrastructure, at that time General Motors, i.e. GM, did something that shook the entire auto industry. Imagine, when everyone was talking about motor and battery, GM quietly dropped such a bomb in the world of petrol engines, which is enough to give sleepless nights to EV companies. And this is not any ordinary engine. This is a brand new, high-performance V8 engine, which has become synonymous with both power and speed. Now, the big question arises. Why did GM take such a big bet on petrol engine in the era of EV? Is there any technology in it that will force even giants like Tesla and BYD to think? Is this engine so powerful that the glory of EVs will fade? And how this engine will change the future of vehicles? In this video, we will show you the power of this engine, technology, and the reason due to which it can change the whole game. Stay till the end of the video, because the revelations that are going to happen next can blow the mind of any auto lover. And yes, before moving ahead in the video, subscribe to the channel so that you can get such strong automobile updates first. Before knowing about that new V8 engine of GM, let us understand what General Motors, i.e. GM Motor, is and what kind of vehicles is this company famous for. Because when the name of a company is taken all over the world, then there is definitely a reason behind it. General Motors is a well-known and very old automobile company of America, which started in 1908. That is, this is the brand that has seen the world of cars rise and fall and has itself been a player who has survived in every era. GM Motor is the parent company of many famous brands like Chevrolet, GMC, Cadillac, and Buick. Now, if we talk about which type of vehicles GM is most popular for, then the direct answer is powerful and big-sized vehicles. Yes, GM Motor is best known for pickup trucks, SUVs, and muscle cars. Trucks like Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra are the first choice of people in America. At the same time, luxury SUVs like Cadillac Escalade are also part of GM's portfolio, which is liked by everyone from Hollywood to the business world. Now let's take a look at the performance of GM Motor last year, i.e. 2024. So you will be surprised to know that GM sold about 6.3 million vehicles worldwide last year. This is not a small figure. The highest sales of these vehicles took place in America, where GM is still the market leader. At the same time, the second largest market for GM is China, where the company manufactures and sells Buick and Chevrolet vehicles through joint ventures like SAIC GM. Apart from this, GM also has a good presence in areas like Canada, South America, Middle East, and Africa. Now let's talk about GM's current position. Even though brands like Toyota and Volkswagen are at number 1 and 2 globally, GM is still counted among the top 5 auto companies. Especially in America, GM's supremacy still remains intact. And GM is not behind in the EV race either. With models like Chevrolet, Bolt EV, Cadillac Lyriq, and Hummer EV, the company is constantly making its portfolio electric. GM has even announced that after 2035, it will make only EVs. But in the meantime, when GM has launched a new petrol V8 engine, it shows that the company still understands the needs of all types of customers. Return of petrol engine amidst EV revolution. Why did GM do this? When the whole world is running towards electric vehicles, when every company is running after EV batteries, charging stations, and silent motors, at such a time, if a company brings back the petrol engine, that too with a powerful engine like V8, then the question arises, why did GM play this gamble? Have they gone mad, or are they seeing something that is hidden from other companies? There is not just one answer behind this decision, but there are many layers, which show that this step of GM is not a hasty step, but a well-thought-out strategy. First of all, understand that as fast as the EV market has grown, some problems have also come up at the same speed. People are buying EVs, but many people are still confused. Somewhere there is tension about charging. Somewhere there is fear about the life of the battery. And somewhere people think twice due to the high price. EVs still work in cities, but for long distances, highways or hilly roads, people still rely on petrol or diesel. And that's something GM has realized. Not everyone is ready to adopt an EV. GM knows that everyone is dreaming of moving towards EV, but even today, there is a large population that wants classic power. That sound of the engine, that jerk in acceleration, and that feeling that only a real engine can give. Especially in the US, Canada, Australia, and Midwest countries, there is no dearth of such drivers who say, "We want an engine, not a motor." And GM wants to provide an option for these people. That is, this decision has been taken not only according to technology, but also according to the psychology of the customer. Now let's look at another reason: market diversification. Becoming completely dependent on EVs is a risky game. If there is ever a problem in the supply chain, or the price of any rare metal suddenly increases, such as lithium or cobalt, then the entire EV production can come to a halt. GM does not want to take such a risk. It wants to have options, EV as well as petrol, and in the future, hydrogen or biofuel as well. This helps the company maintain its hold in every segment, be it a truck, SUV, or a sports car. Now, talking about the emotional connection, the V8 engine is not just a machine, but is the automotive identity of America. People have memories associated with it. Its roar at a car show, children's first ride, road trips with their father, all these are associated with that engine. GM knows that just selling new things does not make the brand work. It is also important to remind people of the old. This is why they combined the old classic feel with modern technology and introduced the new V8 engine. Another big thing is that the biggest USP of EV companies, i.e., good for the environment, has now also become a matter of debate. Because making batteries also harms the environment, and disposal of old batteries has become a headache. On the other hand, petrol engines have so much advanced technology these days that their emissions have reduced a lot compared to before. GM says that their new V8 engine is not only powerful, but also better for the environment than before. That is, they have brought not only power, but also responsibility. And yes, it can also be called a statement. GM wants to show other companies that it is not a part of the crowd, but a trend-making company. When everyone is running in the same direction, the one who reaches the destination even while moving in the opposite direction is the real leader. GM has shown that it still has the potential to be a game-changer in the auto industry. GM bringing back the Petrol V8 engine is not a retro stunt. It is a strategic master move. They know that the EV revolution will continue, but not everyone is ready for that revolution. And until every customer's need is not met, a company's work remains incomplete. Thinking this, GM took this decision. And perhaps this is the reason why today their move is being discussed in every corner. History of V8 engine and its power. Why is it so special? Now the question is, what exactly is this V8 engine? Why is there so much talk about it? And why is it still considered the identity of power and sports car? Its name itself is related to its design. V means its shape is like a V, and 8 means it has 8 cylinders. That is, fuel and air from 8 different places combine to create power, which gives tremendous power and torque to the vehicle. These cylinders are set in 2 lines, 4 each, and form a V shape. This design makes it different and special from other engines. More cylinders mean more power, more smooth performance, and a unique rumble that touches the heart of speed lovers. Now, if we talk about its history, then the V8 engine is not a new discovery. It was born in the early 1900s. The first V8 engine was made by a French company in 1904. But it got its real recognition when Cadillac introduced a mass-production V8 engine in 1915. After this, the V8 engine started ruling the roads of America. Companies like Ford, Chevrolet, Dodge started installing it in their muscle cars and trucks, and the V8 became an icon. The 1960s and 70s were the golden era of V8 engines. At that time, muscle cars were a craze in America. Huge cars that people would stop to look at when parked on the street. Ford Mustang, Chevrolet Camaro, Dodge Charger. The V8 engine was the soul of all these cars. This was the time when driving a car was not just a necessity, it had become a passion. And the sound of that passion was the roar of the V8. Now, the question arises that in today's era, when electric cars are coming, when companies are installing small turbo engines, then what is the meaning of V8? So the answer is, V8 is not just a name for power, it is a feeling. This is for those people who consider a car not just a machine, but an emotion. When you start a car with a V8 engine, the roaring sound that comes from it excites you from within. You feel as if you have unleashed a fighting horse. And not just the sound, the V8 engine is also powerful in performance. This engine gives a lot of torque, which makes it easy to pull even heavy vehicles. That is why V8 is still used in pickup trucks, off-road SUVs, and high-performance sports cars. Its power gives acceleration on the highway and grip in the mountains. Today, even though many companies are moving away from V8 due to environment and fuel economy, those who are real auto lovers still consider it a super engine. This is the reason why when GM recently introduced its new V8 engine, the eyes of the whole world were fixed on it. People wanted to know, is the power of the old times returning again? GM's new V8 engine. What's new in it? By now, you have understood what a V8 engine is and how old and strong its history is. But now pay attention to the thing that has once again turned the attention of the entire auto industry towards Petrol, General Motors' all-new V8 engine. Yes, when everyone was moving towards electric vehicles, GM has quietly launched an engine which is not only the king of name, but also of performance. Now let's talk straight about what is so new in this new V8 engine, which makes it so special even in today's world. First of all, know the name of this engine. This is the 6.6-liter 8th-gen small block V8, which GM has prepared for its truck and SUV lineup. On hearing its name, the eyes of engine lovers shine. Why? Because it has such a combination of both horsepower and torque that it is enough to compete with EVs as well. According to GM, this new V8 engine gives 401 horsepower and 629 Newton-meter torque. Now imagine, so much power means that this engine can not only pull heavy trucks comfortably, but can also run like a storm on the highway. But not just power. This time GM has also added many modern technology features to this V8 engine. For example, it has been given direct fuel injection, which delivers fuel directly to the cylinder. This not only gives more power, but also reduces fuel wastage. Apart from this, variable valve timing, VVT technology is also given in it, due to which the engine gives its best performance at every speed, whether you are in traffic or on the open highway. Now let's talk about its efficiency, i.e. mileage and fuel consumption. Generally, people think that V8 engine means very high fuel consumption, But GM has improved it to a great extent with this new technology. Due to its computer tuning, thermal management, and smart fuel delivery system, now this engine is much more efficient than before. That is, now you get power along with some relief for the pocket. Now let's come to a point that auto lovers never ignore: noise and feel. The sound of this new engine is the same classic V8, a resonant, deep rumble that touches the heart. But the special thing is that it has been controlled more this time. That is, when you want a quiet drive, this engine will not disturb you. And when you need power, its roar will fill your veins with enthusiasm. Talking about build quality, this time GM has used new alloy materials and advanced casting technology to make the engine more robust and long-lasting. It has a special type of forged steel crankshaft and aluminum cylinder heads, which reduce weight but do not let there be any reduction in power. This means that this engine is not only powerful, but also durable and reliable, which will last you for years without any complaint. GM is using this V8 engine in some of its selected trucks and SUVs like Chevrolet Silverado HD and GMC Sierra HD. Such an engine is perfect for these vehicles because they are not bought just for hobby, but for real work. This engine really showcases its power in tasks like towing, hauling, and carrying heavy goods over long distances. This new V8 engine from GM presents the spirit of the old classic engine with today's modern technology. It has power, technology, efficiency, and most importantly, the feel that only a V8 engine can give. This is the reason why it has created a buzz as soon as it was launched, and has proved that the story of the petrol engine is not over yet. It has returned in a new style. EV versus V8. Does this comparison even hold? EV versus V8. This fight is similar to the one between an old horse and a new bike. On one side, there is new technology, talk of the future, silence, and super-fast pickup. And on the other side, there is the roaring sound of speed, classic feel, and strong power. But the question is, does this comparison really hold? Can a V8 engine compete with an EV in today's era? Or have EVs really left petrol engines behind? Let's first talk about EVs, i.e. electric vehicles. The biggest strength of EVs is instant torque. This means that as soon as you start the car and press the accelerator, the car starts flying immediately. There is no gear, no need for the engine to warm up. Power comes directly from electricity. This is the reason why cars like Tesla reach 0 to 100 km in just 3 seconds. This means that EVs shock in terms of speed, and that too with complete silence. No smoke, no sound, while a very smooth drive. Now let's come to the V8 engine, which is famous all over the world for sports cars, muscle cars, and big SUVs. The power of a V8 is of a slightly different kind. It has a gradual build-up. As you press the accelerator, the engine starts rumbling, the sound increases, and then the car pounces like a beast. It has a raw muscle feel that is not found in EVs. And the biggest difference, the feel that comes from the throb of a classic engine. Now, if we talk about the advantages of both, EVs are more efficient. No fuel is burnt, no maintenance is required, and running costs are also low. Also, they are considered better for the environment. On the other hand, the advantage of the V8 engine is that it gives more power, especially in trucks, SUVs, and off-roading vehicles. It does things that EVs have not been able to do yet, like pulling more weight, traveling on long routes without frequent stops, or going on road trips without the tension of charging. Now let's talk about the weaknesses. The biggest drawback of EVs is charging. Charging stations are not available everywhere, and the battery takes time to charge. In cold areas, the battery drains quickly. On the other hand, the weakness of the V8 engine is fuel cost and pollution. More power requires more petrol, and this also makes the air more dirty. Now, the most interesting question is, can the petrol engine still stand in the competition? So the answer is yes, but not everywhere. Wherever you need raw power, towing, off-roading, and muscle, V8 is still ahead of EVs. But where silence, efficiency, and short everyday distances are needed, EVs are ahead. Actually, these two are completely different things. EV is a future technology, which is now becoming mainstream. But the V8 engine is an emotion, which is still alive in the hearts of those who want a car not just to drive, but to feel it. This is the reason why brands like General Motors are still making V8 engines, because the demand hasn't gone away, it has just become personal. So in the end, there is no win or loss in the EV versus V8 battle. It is a battle of need and preference. Some want speed without noise. Some want a sound that resonates deep inside them. And as long as this preference remains, the V8 engine will also remain alive on the road with its roar. GM's strategy. Why did it bet on petrol even while making EVs? Now, the most interesting question arises. When General Motors, i.e. GM itself, is putting all its strength in electric vehicles, why did it still launch a new petrol V8 engine? What was the thinking behind the company taking this step in the opposite direction? Was it just an emotional decision, or is there a big game plan behind it? Let's understand this in very simple language, so that everyone can know what GM is actually thinking. First of all, understand that GM is not a small company. This is a brand that resides in the heart of America and has been setting the direction of the automobile world for the last 100 years. When GM is making electric vehicles like Chevrolet Bolt, Hummer EV, Cadillac Lyriq, it shows that the company is paying attention to the future. GM has even said that it will shift to a completely electric lineup by 2035. But still in 2025, they launched a new petrol V8 engine. That is, GM has again stepped on the path from which other companies are moving away. Now the question arises, one of the first and simple answer to this is the reality of the market. No matter how much you talk about the benefits of EV, but the truth is that even today, many people do not want to buy an electric vehicle. The reason is clear: charging problems, fear about battery life, and lack of trust in long-distance travel. Especially in the segment of trucks, SUVs, and heavy vehicles, people still trust petrol or diesel. GM understood this very well, that EV cannot be forced upon anyone. For those who still want power, rough and tough performance and muscle feel, the option of petrol engine is necessary. The second thing is that GM does not make vehicles only for America. It is also active in the global market. And there are many countries where EV infrastructure is still in its initial stages. The demand for petrol engines is still very high there. In such a situation, if GM had focused only on EV, it would have lost a huge market. Therefore, the company thought it right to make a balance. On one hand, to promote EV, and on the other hand, to give something new to the fans of classic power. Now, let's talk about another important aspect: brand image and emotional connection. V8 engine has been the identity of GM, especially in the big cars of Chevrolet and GMC. People have memories associated with these cars, with the sound of their engines. GM knows that a brand does not run only on technology. Emotions are also important. This is why the company has reinvented its classic heritage, to keep the old memories alive and let the new generation feel that power too. And now coming to the real game. Does this move highlight the limitations of the EV market? Of course it does. GM launching this engine is a kind of indication that EVs are not suitable for every place right now. Charging stations are not available everywhere. Not every user needs the tension of an EV. And the EVs that are currently in the market are either very expensive or limited in terms of performance. GM sensed this gap and brought back the V8 engine so that those who want power, reliability, and long-term performance can also get something new. GM's strategy is very clear. It is not abandoning EV, but it is not going to say goodbye to petrol anytime soon. It wants to take along every kind of customer. And perhaps this thinking makes it different from other companies. Can this engine slow down EV adoption? When General Motors, GM, announced its new powerful V8 engine, the biggest question that arose was whether this move could slow down the growing trend of electric vehicles a bit. Can this new technology attract people back to the classic petrol engine? Or is it only for a specific type of people, i.e., for the niche market? And most importantly, in which vehicles is GM going to install this engine? Let us understand all these things in very simple and easy language. First of all, there is no doubt that the era of EV, i.e. electric vehicles, has arrived. Governments around the world are promoting EV, companies are also making big plans, and people are also gradually leaning towards electric. But this does not mean that everything will become EV and the rest of the technology will end. In fact, now slowly people have also started understanding some limitations of EV, like battery concern, charging limit, long-distance problem, and falling range in cold areas. In such a situation, this new V8 engine of GM has brought a new option for those who want rough and tough power, without the tension of charging again and again. Now, the question arises, will this engine slow down EV adoption? The simple answer is, not completely, but yes, to some extent. People who still do not trust EVs, who travel a lot on highways or in remote areas, whose work requires heavy trucks or towing, they can definitely return to this type of engine technology. This engine can once again force those users to think who were in the mood to buy an EV but were not able to build complete confidence. And yes, those who want classic driving fun, they may not want to replace the rumbling sound and powerful shock of the V8 with an electric motor. But it is also true that this technology is not for everyone. It is not going to completely change the mass market, because the real focus of EV is on cities, daily commute, and small family cars. At the same time, V8 engines still fit in those vehicles whose job is to show power and performance, i.e., pickup trucks, SUVs, muscle cars, and commercial vehicles. Therefore, it can be said that this technology is mostly for the niche market, but there is a huge number in that niche too that was waiting for this step. Now let's talk about which vehicles GM is going to install this engine in. So first of all, it is clear that this engine has been specially designed for heavy-duty pickup trucks like Chevrolet Silverado HD, GMC Sierra HD. That is, those vehicles which are used for lifting heavy goods, towing, and in works like farm barn, mountains, mining. Electric power has not become fully effective in these vehicles even today, because they need more torque and long run time, and only a powerful petrol engine can provide that. Apart from this, there is a possibility that GM will also give its upgraded version in some muscle cars like Chevrolet Camaro or Corvette in the coming time, because the entire USP of these vehicles is the sound and performance of the V8 engine. In such a situation, converting them completely into EV can be like losing their old fans. GM's new V8 engine will not be able to completely stop the EV revolution, but it will definitely act as a brake or brace in it. For those who were till now at a crossroads, whether to buy an EV or not, this engine has come as a strong option. And with this move, GM is also showing that the company cares not only about the future, but also about the present. If you found this video informative and interesting, then definitely subscribe to the channel, so that the next time such a big automobile update comes, you get the notification first.